Good morning and welcome to Community Forum, our weekly public affairs program where we address a number of topics of interest and importance in northeastern Pennsylvania. I'm Jim Riley, and my guests this morning are from NeighborWorks of northeastern Pennsylvania. They are Jesse Ergott, the president and CEO, and Gerard Hetman, who is the community development specialist. NeighborWorks of northeast Pennsylvania is becoming more and more prominent. I'm sure you've heard of them. You've seen their involvement in some things, and they've got quite a few projects going on here, and we're going to talk about them as we go along. And welcome Jesse and Gerard to our program.
Thanks so much, Jim. We always enjoy being here with you.
Gerard, welcome.
Great to be with you, Jim. Thanks for having us.
All right, let's see if we can do this in some kind of order. Let's talk about a program that you guys introduced, I don't know, maybe a month ago. You had a big press conference with the mayor of Scranton, Paige Cognetti, and this is a big project, the Scranton City Pride Program. It's part of the Elm Street Designation, which I guess is some sort of government program. First of all, what's the Elm Street Designation, and why is it important that Scranton got one?
So the Elm Street Designation is a designation that's offered through the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and really what it means is that we have the opportunity to have access to additional resources and assistance to make improvements in a specific neighborhood. And so a couple years ago, we started working on a 10-year revitalization plan for the neighborhood of West Scranton, which is also our home. Our office is located there now. And so we're really excited about all the great possibilities ahead for that neighborhood. And so we started working on a couple different designations, some raising some resources and figuring out how we can kind of put together a number of opportunities to create more investment in that neighborhood. And Elm Street designation really just gives us the opportunity to do that. So we were able to apply to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in partnership with the city, get that designation, which opens a door for some additional investment that we're excited about.
How'd West Scranton get picked?
So we have been working West Scranton for probably 6 or 7 years now. And, for us, we were looking for a place to kind of dive deeper into some of this place-based work. We call it this kind of place-based neighborhood-focused work where we can look at the real deeper issues that a neighborhood is facing and try to make that place a better place to live, work, and raise a family. So West Scranton has been a great opportunity because we saw so many assets there. It has a lot of strengths already, and we just wanted to build off of that.
So this was your decision. This was not City Hall coming to you and saying, is there any way we can get some program? This was your initiative to brighten up that part.
Yeah, correct. So, as an organization, we've been around for over 40 years doing neighborhood revitalization and home ownership, providing housing-based service to our neighbors. And, we really wanted to focus on West Scranton because we've been doing some work there, some volunteer events, some housing rehab, and some other things. And we just really saw a ton of opportunity in that neighborhood. Nobody else is really focusing on it to a significant extent. And so, we approached the city. The city's been a fantastic partner for us over the years, and said, hey, this is something we want to do. They were on board, but we're taking the lead in that effort.
All right, what are some of the projects going to be? And I'll open this to either one of you. This is an ambitious project. It's not an overnight thing. This is going to take a while. What do we have in mind?
Yeah, so we have, again, it's a 10-year plan, so there's a lot on the table. We focus on a number of different areas. Community character is one of them, commercial corridors and services and amenities, and housing. So it's really a comprehensive approach to trying to improve the neighborhood. And again, we think that West Scranton is already a great neighborhood, so we want to build off of the strengths there. But a couple of the specific things we're focusing on is really that Main Avenue corridor, how to improve and beautify that Main Avenue area, help the local businesses, small businesses thrive there by making physical improvements, parking, lighting, all sorts of different things. Also addressing parks and housing. And this was all stems from conversations that we had with residents over the years we went out and knocked on doors and said, what would you like to see in your neighborhood? And the answers that we got are, hey, we want to see physical improvements. We want to see things spruced up. And so, those things I mentioned, plus A facade grant program for businesses along Main Avenue is another thing that we're going to be launching this year.
Okay. Sure. So what did the business owners have to do for their involvement?
So, Jim, it's there's many different phases to this, and we've had great cooperation from the business community throughout the planning process. When we were putting together the neighborhood plan and when we were talking to residents, as Jesse had mentioned, we're also talking to businesses. We had a number of business owners partner with us on our steering committee, which helped to develop the plan, formulate the plan, and is now, those folks are working with us to put the plan into action. So the facade grant program we're working to set up has a couple different phases, and you'll hear more about that in the coming months. But businesses have been great partners, and we've seen restaurants, we've seen retail shops, everything from, that runs the gamut of all the good commercial activity in West Scranton, working with us on a number of these programs. One of the most innovative and one of the earliest phases of the plan in terms of projects that we've put together was the Mural Contest that we put on the side of Catalanos, familiar kind of an anchor institution in West Scranton. And we had a contest where we had 3 murals conceptualized, and we allowed the public to vote on those. It was a fun way to get public input and spruce up a key part of the neighborhood early in the planning process. And you can see that mural on the side of the Catalanos building, the flag with the West Scranton football player, again, chosen by a public vote. And that was a really good early example of a partnership with one of the businesses, with many more to come, especially as we get into more of the commercial work along Main Avenue.
Is this something that is going to be tried elsewhere? Or are you going to wait and finish this first before you start another one?
Yeah, so this is a substantial project, and we're looking at a 10-year time frame to really make some significant investment there. We're also working some other communities, City of Carbondale. We're working and partnering with them to do some planning in a similar way up in that location. But our focus is primarily on West Scranton at this point. And other organizations like United Neighborhood Centers of Northeastern Pennsylvania are focusing in other neighborhoods, South Side and Pine Brook. And so, I think a lot of our efforts are really focusing on where our strengths are and leveraging the good things that are happening in the community. So that's where our focus is for now.
All right, now we talk about, this is a 10-year program, but some of this stuff is going to be done a lot sooner than that, right? The small stuff, obviously. So what's the 10-year part mean?
So the 10-year part means that there's some significant opportunity in the neighborhood to make some long-term investment in some key areas. So it might be certain parks, certain locations where there's housing development envisioned and some other things that don't really happen overnight. So, as we look at the things that we can do on a short term, some things that we already have secured funding for are some streetscape improvements. There's a parking lot on Main Avenue right across from Allen Park that we're going to be improving with some resources that we got through the City of Scranton CDBG program. Allen Park is also slated for improvement. We've introduced the Hometown Heroes banner project that took place over the last year, and we're reestablishing with another round for this year. So there's lots of smaller singular projects going on, but the overall vision covers a longer period of time because it takes a long time to get the type of investment you need to do the bigger projects.
How about the Hometown Heroes part of this, Gerard?
Sure. So we were fortunate, Jim, to partner with Leadership Lackawanna in their most recent core program class, which was last program year for them. One of their project groups made that their focus of their community service project. So we had 30 banners up on Main Avenue that pay tribute to West Scranton natives or residents, folks who have some connection to West Scranton, who have served in our armed forces over the decades and through different periods, different eras of service. So we then opened that up this year to do a larger round of banners. So we had over 100 people come in to pay tribute to their loved ones, friends, neighbors, again, fathers, husbands, sisters, whoever it would be, to honor their service. So everyone who purchases a banner has the banner displayed along, we're going to fill up Main Avenue, and if we have more than that, we'll go up and down Luzerne Street is our plan to be able to showcase that. And we've seen that in other communities. We've seen that in in other neighborhoods. A lot of people who talked to us during the planning part of this, and we asked, what in terms of that streetscape improvement would you like to see in the neighborhood? That was a popular item that came up to allow people, again, to be able to pay tribute to their loved ones who have served in the armed forces.
You're going to need some volunteers for these projects. Is that correct?
So we're always looking for volunteer groups to help us out with our work. One of the things that we're focused on in West Scranton and in other places that we work is working on addressing blight in the neighborhood. So vacant lots, cleanups, park cleanups, all those types of things. So we organize volunteer groups to help us with some of that work. And so we identify some problem properties that might be owned by the city or a land bank or some other entities that we can get access to and try to get in there and make improvements to those. So an example of that is actually right on Luzerne Street, close to the high school, where we were able to get in and address 4 vacant lots that were overgrown and deteriorating for over a couple decades. And so we were able to get in there, clean those up, and improve them in preparation for hopefully a bigger improvement project in the future.
You got plans for those lots yet, or are you just waiting to see how some other things play out?
So that's part of the
I guess zoning matters.
Yeah, part of the initial process of doing this planning and raising resources to do some additional work with the residents and the school district and others who have an interest in what happens there. And so we want to hear some more voices on what that should look like long term. So we have to do some more planning and get a vision for what that could be. But the first step was just cleaning it up, and so it's not a nuisance to the neighborhood.
Another project you guys have been doing for a while, and I guess it's pretty successful, you're expanding it, is the Beautiful Blocks program, which has been in the city of Scranton, and now you're branching out with that, Gerard.
That's correct, Jim. So we started Beautiful Blocks in 2019. At the time, former Mayor Wayne Evans really brought the concept to Scranton. It had been observed in a community in New York State, and we were able to bring the model here, adapt it, and get it up and running. So this now here in 2022 will be our 4th Beautiful Block cycle in the city of Scranton, and we're also going into now our 2nd cycle in the city of Carbondale, where we had a great launch last year. We had 3 groups total. We had 20 people participate, 20 households participate in Carbondale, and awarded over $15,000 in grant funding to do exterior improvements to the homes of participating residents. And the great thing about Beautiful Blocks is that we see not just the physical improvements, but we see great investment in the neighborhood with matching funds. Residents that participate do have to match they have to provide matching funding for the grant awards that we do. So we see not just our grant awards making the investments in the neighborhoods, but also much larger investments, oftentimes 2 to 1 or more in terms of funds that residents contribute for their projects. And we also see that community building. We see people in these groups talking, working together, interacting, growing closer as neighbors. And that's just the type of thing we like to see in healthy neighborhoods. Neighbors helping each other, neighbors looking out for each other, just making their community a better place to live together.
All right, what's in it for me if I choose to participate?
So, Jim,
what do I have to do? What do I get?
Sure. So the first step is to visit our website. You'll find our application materials there, and also plenty of testimonials. We've talked to many people who've done the program in Scranton and Carbondale in past cycles, and you can hear their stories on our website and see if Beautiful Blocks is a great approach for you and your neighbors. So each group that participates requires a minimum of 5 participating households. All of them need to be in relatively close proximity, not necessarily all on the same city block, but at least no more than 1 block away, we like to say. So picture 1 turn or one crossing of your street. We try to keep them within close proximity to build that neighborly connection. We do need 1 resident to serve as a leader for the group. We call them a block captain. So if you're out there listening to this, looking to be a leader in your neighborhood, this is a great opportunity. And that person both assembles many of the application components, and then if the group is selected for funding, they serve as a contact with our office in order to make sure that the projects take shape and work well over the course of the program cycle.
What sort of improvements fall under the umbrella?
Sure. So pretty much any exterior improvement to someone's home would qualify. Some of the ones that I think we've seen the best success with have been walkability type projects. So those would be sidewalk repair and replacements, front step and front entranceway repair and upgrades. Also landscaping. People like to go out and do landscaping, and that certainly adds that curb appeal to the neighborhood. So, planting bushes, trees, anything of that nature, flowers. And we also certainly consider other projects that would include exterior painting, new windows and doors, awnings, other home repairs, fencing, things of that nature we see too.
All right. Now, the money involved, you did say that there will be matching funds. How does that work?
Sure. So for most residents, it's a dollar-for-dollar match, up to $1,000 provided in grant funding from our organization. So if a participant wanted the maximum $1,000 grant from us, they would have to contribute an additional $1,000 of their own money towards the project. Of course, they can do more. We do see projects that, the total cost is, $3,000, $4,000 or more sometimes. But we do have a component that makes it a little bit more affordable for folks who are below 80% of the area's median income for their household size. In that case, it's a 20% matching requirement. So if they wanted the $1,000 from us, they would have to contribute an additional $200 of their own funds towards the project.
You can get really carried away in this project. I mean, it'll start out as a cooperative effort, and then you start looking around and you say, wait a minute, I can put up a nicer porch than he can, and who knows what you end up with.
Yeah, we've had large groups come together. As Gerard mentioned, there's a minimum of 5 neighbors, but we've had 10, 12, 15 in specific groups that all come together to do large improvement projects together. I think the other thing that we love to see is that after all those projects are done, we make some resources available to do block party, so that group can have some money to come together and celebrate the improvements that they've accomplished on their block. And for us, we're hoping that it keeps that group together, keeps them looking for opportunities to make improvements to the places that they live.
How'd you get into Carbondale for this one? What led to that?
So we had been looking for opportunities to take this concept and work with other partners on it, because we thought it was really replicable. The city of Scranton, as Gerard said, was great in kind of saying, hey, this is a great opportunity for us to celebrate neighbors and to help invest in people who are investing in our city. And so we think that's a very replicable concept. And so Michelle Bannon, who's the city clerk in Carbondale, is also on our board of directors. We started talking to her about what it would look like to roll this out in the city of Carbondale. And she was all for it. The mayor was all for it. And we were able to pull together some resources thanks to the Lackawanna County commissioners and some others who chipped in to make that possible in Carbondale, some local investment through businesses there as well, and some tax credits to provide resources for residents to take this and run with it in Carbondale, and that's what we saw. So we're really excited about entering the second year there in the city as well.
Absolutely. It's Jesse Ergott from NeighborWorks of Northeast Pennsylvania. He and Gerard Hetman are my guests this morning as we talk about any number of programs they have going on. You recently made a presentation before Scranton City Council. What was that about?
Sure. So that was our council caucus. We do that now, Jim, every year. It's our third year that we've appeared before City Council in the caucus format, which allows our staff to interact with council members and present updates and additions to the programs that we're doing, and just inform a key partner in the city government about our successes over the past year and what we're planning to do in the upcoming year. So it was great to be able to interact with council members and provide them a clear, updated overview of our good work in the city of Scranton.
Is that a governmental requirement for you for any reason?
Not particularly. We just enjoy doing that because the partnership with the city is a great one. And I think in our end, we look at it as a step to be able to take a proactive approach to working with the city. It's important for just the public transparency also and cooperation. It's great, I think, when residents in the city see a community partner engaged with their local government, and again, to be able to provide those updates in a public forum is very valuable, I think, for all the stakeholders in that relationship.
One thing I've noticed about your group, you do seem to be a little more active these days, a little more prominent. Is that a conscious effort on your part, or is it just sort of coincidence or a natural progression?
Well, it's definitely intentional on our part, Jim, and we love opportunities like this to tell the story of the good things happening, not just with our organization, but in our community as a whole. We're really excited about what's happening in the city of Scranton, what's happening in Lackawanna County, and in other places across northeastern Pennsylvania, which is in our service area. And so, any opportunity we have to talk about those things, to share really stories about residents and neighbors and the successes that we're seeing, the wins, as we call them, that our community is getting. It's important to us because we're not just an organization that focus on kind of trying to fix the things that are obstacles or challenges in our community. We really want to be out there and intentionally celebrating all the good that's happening because we see this community as just a huge resource for people who are really trying to create a better life for themselves. And so, as we implement these projects and as we provide these services, we want to tell the story so that more people are aware of the great things that are happening, great things available to them in their community.
What other services are we offering?
So one of the things that we've been focusing on pretty significantly over the last couple of years is what we call our Aging in Place program. And that's an opportunity to really help support our older homeowners in our communities and our neighborhoods who may be struggling with staying in their homes. And a lot of times that happens because we have an older housing stock in the region. As people age, sometimes it's a little harder to get up and down the stairs and kind of use these homes who weren't really built the way that new homes are built, with kind of more universal design, easier to get around, and so there's things like laundry in the basement, and there's bathrooms that are upstairs with high tubs and things like that. So we really try to focus on how can we make these homes more accessible to folks, and that's, for us, it's a matter of dignity, providing people dignity as they age and be able to live in those homes safely longer. That's our goal.
Okay, how can someone take advantage of that?
So they can find information on our website for that program, but primarily we work with our great partners over at the Lackawanna County Area Agency on Aging.
Okay, get referrals then?
Who refer folks over who may need these types of services. So, we have a number of partners that we work with that kind of identify the people who need this type of service, and we raise a lot of different resources so that we can provide these types of modifications and other services to seniors who need them.
What is this Mobile Toolkit I've been hearing about?
All right. It's one of our latest developments, Jim. So the Mobile Toolkit grew out of actually a couple of concepts here. Our organization is part of NeighborWorks America, so we're one of approximately 250 nationwide organizations that do this work across all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and Puerto Rico. And all of the 250 agencies are independent, but we all belong together to NeighborWorks America. So that provides us the chance to share information, learn from each other, and get good tips and best practices from all around the country. So we had seen concepts similar to this in other communities, all over the map. And it was a chance for us to adapt and bring that opportunity here to Scranton. So the Mobile Toolkit is a trailer-based collection of tools and equipment really designed around outdoor projects. So think of a vacant lot cleanup, think of a tree planting, think of a park cleanup on the weekend with residents in the neighborhood pitching in to improve the park in their community or wherever the common space may be, or other similar projects that have, again, an outdoors landscaping type feel. So the Mobile Toolkit comes prepackaged with a lawnmower, walk behind, and also handheld string trimmers, a wheelbarrow, various hand tools, and a variety of other tools and equipment to help residents do their good work in their neighborhoods.
Can I use that when I try to do a nicer project than my neighbor for the Beautiful Blocks program?
So we do make it available certainly on a case-by-case basis. So in Beautiful Block groups, I think, as Jesse alluded to earlier, he mentioned the community project or celebration. So that would be an instance where that would be available certainly to a group that wanted to do, again, a cleanup of a property in their neighborhood, wanted to do maybe some tree planting, maybe help a neighbor who needed help if the group wanted to pitch in together. That would certainly be applicable. We have seen great use of it so far, both in our kind of initial trial run last year and now going forward into 2022 from community partners, neighborhood associations, resident groups, and also some of our nonprofit partners throughout the community.
So this would not be something you use on a private property?
No, sir.
Okay.
It would have to be for a project that, again, was a neighborhood-based project. And we do certainly speak to anyone with an interest in it, and we'll work with them to evaluate if they have an applicable use for the toolkit. So we certainly don't slam the door in anyone's face, but we just try to work with them to see, is this the best use for the resource that we have available.
What's the cost?
So there's no cost to borrow it to borrowing groups. We do require a deposit on it to hold the place of it and protect, again, the tools and equipment that we have, but that's refundable, and we don't charge a fee for the borrowing of the toolkit. We just require, again, that the deposit, but also someone from the organization meet with us, come through, do a safety walkthrough, and make sure we show them all the neat things in there.
Well, that seems pretty neat, and I think that would probably encourage somebody to undertake one of these projects if they know that something significant like that is going to be provided to them. They don't have to use their own stuff or go rent it from somebody.
Yeah, Jim, I think one of our goals for the toolkit was to remove any barriers people had to coming together and doing a project that improves their neighborhood. And sometimes we were hearing that we just, neighborhood groups, they didn't have their own tools, or people didn't want to kind of risk using their own
sure.
mowers.
I'm not going to use my stuff.
So we wanted to take that off the table and give them the opportunity to say, hey, we'll provide that. All you need to provide is a couple hours of your time on a Saturday morning or whenever it is to go do a good thing in the neighborhood. And so for us as an organization, one of the things that we love to do and take pride in is kind of facilitating this activity between a need and people who want to meet that need. And so, we're not a huge team. There's 13 of us in our office, in our organization. So we can't do it all ourselves. We learned that a long time ago. But what we love to do is mobilize people and give them the opportunity to roll up their sleeves and serve, where they may not have had that opportunity before, where they may not have realized that they had that opportunity. And so trying to make connections between a need in the community, whether it's an individual need of a neighbor that we can help meet, or it's a park that needs addressed, or another public space that needs addressed. We want to connect people, and we want to facilitate that activity. And these ideas that Gerard has spoken about, the toolkit and beautiful blocks, that's the intent behind them, is to remove any barriers and make those connections for people.
The idea seems to be appeal to their sense of community and their responsibility toward their own neighborhood, and a rising tide lifts all boats and all
Absolutely.
that.
Yes, absolutely. So, sure. There's plenty of people who want to participate in things like that. I think especially as we move into a year like this, as the pandemic has reached its 2-year mark, people are looking to get out and do some good. And so we want to provide those opportunities. One, which I mentioned to you a little earlier, that's going to be taking place in early June, is City Pride. So we work on this program with Scranton tomorrow. And the idea is it's just a citywide beautification project. And so more to come on that, but that's the 4th through the 11th of June. And we're going to be looking for volunteer groups to engage in that as well.
All right. And all the information is available on the website for NeighborWorks of Northeastern Pennsylvania. My guests this morning have been Jesse Ergott, the president and CEO of NeighborWorks, and Gerard Hetman, who is the community development specialist. A lot of projects going on, some that would appeal to you, like the Beautiful Blocks program and the Mobile Toolkit if you have a community project that needs some work, Little League field or something. So get a hold of them and find out how they can help you, and they've got a lot of other services too. So look into NeighborWorks of Northeastern Pennsylvania. Jesse and Gerard, thank you for joining me. Continued success with your programs.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
I'm Jim Riley. You've been listening to Community Forum, our weekly public affairs program, and we'll have another topic of interest and importance next Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.